everybody. Let me just uh, do a deep dive into butterflies of Uttarakhand. I had lots of discussion in terms of whether to present on Uttarakhand or whether to present on some northeast place. But eventually, I decided that I've been in Uttarakhand since 2008, so that's 12 years of a lot of butterfly watching. So I thought I know the state probably better than any of the other places that I do visit frequently. So before I, ouch, why is this not moving? Okay. Yeah, before I do a deep dive into the butterflies, I think just a brief insight into the Himalayan region of which Uttarakhand is a part. As most of you may know, it's one of the Himalayas is one of the 35 global biodiversity hotspots, and the Himalayas is one of 2 or 3, depending on how you define the Indian biodiversity hotspots. So the Himalayan region is one, the Western Ghats is the second, and the Indo-Burmese or the Indo-Malayan region, which includes some part of Northeast India, is the third. I mean, spectacular biodiversity in all these areas, and as we are finding out there, we are still continuing to find lots of new species, not just Lepidoptera, but even other faunal groups. I put this slide together a little while ago. So if you look at how we stack up compared to other parts of the globe, I mean, roughly 10,000 species of birds globally, and 1,300 odd in India, out of which almost 80% is found in the Himalayan region. Butterflies, 20,000 in the world approximately, fox 1,350 in India, and 1,100 in the Himalayas. And similarly, amphibians and reptiles and other species. As you can see, very, very diverse and very rich biodiversity in the Himalayan region. Very fortunately for me, Uttarakhand is not far behind. If you take birds, we published an updated checklist of Uttarakhand in 2017 that had 710 bird species. It makes Uttarakhand the second richest state with respect to birds after Arunachal Pradesh. In butterflies, I published a book in 2019 which has got 500 species of the 1,350. Again, very high up in terms of species-rich states in India. So it's a biodiversity paradise, not just birds, butterflies, but even other faunal groups. And but still not as popular as many of the other, I would say, especially for butterfly watching. I find that Uttarakhand is not as popular as other places in the Northeast. So what do we have here in terms of some funky stuff? So for example, this species is called the bent-toed gecko. It's endemic to Uttarakhand. I think Uttarakhand and Nepal is where it is found. We recorded this in Dehradun city in July 2016. I mean, this is inside or just on the outskirts of Dehradun city. This is the only endemic frog to Uttarakhand. It's called the Jonsar cascade frog. This is also found in Dehradun. I mean, the reason I'm saying it is, forget going out into the wilds, even around our cities, we find stuff that is incredibly funky. So this is the Dudhwa reed frog. It's endemic to basically UP and Uttarakhand. This is taken 20 meters from my house. I mean, great biodiversity in the state, and sometimes very, very close to where we live. The same holds true for butterflies. So in the book that I published, basically 500 species of butterflies are recorded from Uttarakhand. Tragically, 13% of these have not been recorded for many, many decades. So there are no recent published records for many species that are recorded in Uttarakhand. There's an urgent need for fieldwork and collection to figure out what we have and what we are losing, And there's also a need to revisit taxonomy because lots of the records and lots of the species haven't been updated for a very, very long time. And I think it's both a tourism as well as a research opportunity, primarily because unlike many of the other states, accessibility in Uttarakhand is pretty good. So both for researchers as well as for tourism, it's there are some very, very nice places that you can visit. What's the work that has been done in Uttarakhand? The earliest work was a publication by Doherty, where he listed 271 species from Kumaon. Mackinnon and Niceville published 323 species from Mussoorie and its surrounding areas in 1899. And then Hannington followed up with 370 species from Kumaon, maybe about 10 or 15 years later. These three remain the most significant publications from this state in the early part of the last century. We had Shull doing some work in the Mussoorie area. He published a paper with talks of seeing 100 species in a day in Mussoorie. Nowadays, we don't see more than 40 or 50. So that's the kind of decline that has happened. I don't think anyone can see 100 species in Mussoorie in a day anymore. More recent work on butterflies in Uttarakhand. Peter Smatacek has done a lot of work. He has the Butterfly Research Center in Bhimtal, and he's published numerous publications in the last 30 odd years. I think his major publication was Butterflies of the Jones Estate, which is where he lives, where he published 243 species. Arun Pratap Singh from FRI has done a lot of work in the last decade, lots of publications on butterflies. I have done publication in the last 10 years because I shifted here only in 2008. And Arun and I together published Butterflies of Garhwal in 2016, where we listed 407 species of the 500 that are found in Uttarakhand. And then there's ZSI, people like Narendra Sharma and Sidhu, who have done lots of publications, including the State Fauna series in the last 30 odd years. And then there are people who I must mention, people like Shankar Kumar, who's part of the Forest Department in Kumaon. He's just an enthusiast. So he hasn't published anything, but they've got some very, very nice field records of some very rare butterflies. And there are other people like him. I just mentioned him as an example. In 2018, I published this book called Butterflies of Uttarakhand. Krishnamay Kunte and myself together put this book together. This took me almost 3 years of desk research, and I went back to all the papers that I could find starting from the 1880s. And it has more than 1,000 images, upper and underside of every species. It has a checklist. It has a bibliography of butterflies of Uttarakhand. So if someone wants to visit Uttarakhand for watching butterflies, I think this is probably the most comprehensive field guide you can get at this point in time. I've often been asked, okay, so why should I come to Uttarakhand? What are the endemics? There are not very many endemics in Uttarakhand, okay? This butterfly is called the Garhwal wood-brown Lethe Dakwania. It's probably the only certain endemic from Uttarakhand. This butterfly has not been recorded. It's known only from its type locality in Garhwal. It was found, a whole series of them were collected in 1914. It has not been seen since then, but it's known only from Uttarakhand and nowhere else. Somebody needs to go out there and find it. It actually looks very, very similar to the common wood brown, and hence it may even be overlooked. But the fact remains that nobody has really discovered this butterfly, and this actually remains the only true endemic for Uttarakhand. There's another butterfly which is called the Kedarnath six-ring Yipthema kedarnathensis, which was described by Arun Pratap Singh. It's found both in Garhwal and in Kumaon. It's known by, this funny shaped ring pattern. But the fact remains that Euthema as a genus is very, very difficult to be certain. And the taxonomic status of this is uncertain. I mean, these butterflies show a lot of variability. And unless you do, you look at the genitalia, you look at phylogeny, you look at the early stages, and you see significant differences, only then can you be certain that it's actually a true species. So we don't know whether this is actually, but this is only known from Uttarakhand if it does get confirmed. Then there's two other butterflies. There's a species called the Nanda Devi banded Apollo, which was described by a European Weiss in 1990. It's only known from Nanda Devi, only known from the original description. And similarly, there's another Euthema described by a team from ZSI, HS Rose and Narendra Sharma, which they described from Mussoorie. For both these species, the taxonomic status is uncertain. We do not know whether they are valid species. So they are found only from Uttarakhand, but we do not know whether the taxonomy is valid. But there's lots of other species which are not endemic to Uttarakhand, but they are in India. They are only found in Uttarakhand. They also, their distribution also extends into Nepal. So this species, this was actually photographed by Emmanuel Theophilus. I don't know whether he's on the call, but he rediscovered this in Kumaon, eastern Kumaon, and it was discovered after its original description by Riley in 1926. It's called the Kumaon meadow blue. It's seen in the high alpine area, and in India, the only place you can see it is in Uttarakhand. Very pretty poliomatous. There's another butterfly called the banded walnut blue, which was photographed by Trilok Singh Rana from Munsiari. This remains the only image of a live butterfly that I know from India. It's basically again known from Kumaon and Nepal. And if you want to see it in India, this is the only place that you can see it. Whole bunch of butterfly specials which are reasonably easy to see in Uttarakhand and not so easy to see in other parts of either the Himalayas or of course the rest of India. So I'm going to run through these. I'm not going to spend too much time. From Hesperids, there's this, what is called the checkered darter, very large skipper which is seen in high altitudes. The underwing, there are 4 underwings, green underwings known from the Western Himalayas. Only one confirmed species, that is the large green underwing, is known from Uttarakhand. There is a second underwing which has been described in literature by people from WII, but without any evidence. So I have excluded that because I don't know whether it's a confirmed sighting or not. They don't have an image, they don't have specimens, so we don't know whether it's a correct identification. Then there is the group of hair streaks. This hair streak is called the Indian white line hair streak. The distribution was Kashmir to Garhwal, but there were no published records of this butterfly. But I recorded it in Gangotri National Park in 2019. This image is from Gangotri. And in a sense, it's a rediscovery for this state, even though it's reasonably common in Ladakh for people who visit there. Uttarakhand, the other really nice butterflies are the poliomatous, what is called the Himalayan meadow blue. This guy, there are 6 species of this genus that are found in India, but they are horribly difficult to separate. And this whole group is in need of taxonomic revision. I mean, till we collect specimens, we dissect, we do molecular phylogeny, we will actually not be certain about how many species we have. But this one is reasonably common in the higher altitude regions of Uttarakhand. Similarly, the common mountain blue, again a high altitude alpine species, which is found all the way from Kashmir to Nepal, reasonably common in the high altitudes of Uttarakhand. I always tell people that if there is one species group for which Uttarakhand is special, it's the hair streaks. We have 11 species of known hair streaks from Uttarakhand. 2 of them, the Garhwal purple hair streak and the Kumaon purple hair streak, are unrecorded for many, many years. I have not seen any live images of these two butterflies, but there are numerous other species that, numerous other hair streaks that are reasonably common. So this one, the white spotted hair streak, was earlier considered not to be common, but I've seen it on many occasions, so it's not really very rare. Uttarakhand's most common hair streak is the water hair streak. We organized butterfly festivals in Uttarakhand, and I still remember that in one of the festivals, I asked people, "Hey, do you want to see a hair streak?" They said, "Yeah, we've never seen a hair streak in our lives." And I took them to a particular spot and I said, "Okay, surround me." And they surrounded me, and I shook a bush and 5 of these flew up. So, you need to know where it is. And sometimes there are swarms of these. In one location in Mussoorie, I counted 200 water hair streaks in 60 minutes. So they are quite common on occasion, but otherwise this is the most common hair streak in Uttarakhand. And then there's this one, the silver hair streak. Again, not so uncommon. You do see it on occasion. Lovely grass green on the upper side. A very pretty hair streak. So hair streaks, I think Uttarakhand is a great place to visit if you want to see them. Coming to the nymphalids or the brush-footed butterflies. This is a Limnatus which was recorded from Gangotri. I think there are just 2 or 3 records of this species, Limnatus ligeus from India. It's found both in Himachal and Uttarakhand. But in Gangotri National Park, in the right season, in the right month, it's quite common. You can see up to a dozen of these flying around at the right place. The satyrs, 5 species known from Uttarakhand. Again, seasonally, these are quite common. This particular butterfly that I photographed, I have a story to tell. I traveled to the Valley of Flowers 3 years ago. And I was actually very hopeful that, if I go there during the flowering season, I'm going to see loads of butterflies. I went in the month of August, and there was a reasonable amount of sunshine. And I went to the valley and I saw 3 species and 6 individuals. And I was so disappointed, but this was one of them. This is basically one of the higher altitude satyrs that flies in Uttarakhand. So there's 8 species of meadow browns in the Himalayas, and 4 of them in Uttarakhand, basically seen in the dry desert areas, cold desert areas where there's little bit of vegetation. That's where you normally see them. This butterfly, this photograph is not from Uttarakhand, it's actually from Ladakh. The only reason I put it here is that this has in literature, this has a very funny distribution. It says that it's found in Kashmir and Kumaon. So it is definitely found in Ladakh where I photographed it. But Hannington claimed that Doherty used to see these on the Kumaon passes on the Indian side, maybe 100 years ago. But nobody's really recorded it. So we don't know whether this is an erroneous record or whether we've not discovered it. It's something we need to figure out. This butterfly is very interesting because it actually crawls. So what happens is that the butterfly flies, very quickly settles down, and then actually crawls like a mouse into the grass blades. So exhibits very peculiar behavior. Then there's the tortoise shells. There are 5 species in the Himalayas. The large tortoise shell, the Ladakh tortoise shell. This photograph is from Ladakh, not from Uttarakhand. There are no published records of the Ladakh tortoise shell from Uttarakhand, but it's there in literature. And then there's the Argynnis and the Isorias, the fritillaries, and the large and small fritillaries and the silver spots. This is the common silver spot, and this is the high brown fritillary. I don't have any of the silver spots, but if Theo is on the call here, he's from Munsiari. He's got a number of very cool silver spot images in the last few years. And then finally, the Apollos, a dozen species from West Western Himalaya all the way to Bhutan. These are the common ones, the common red Apollo, the keeled Apollo, and the blue Apollo. You go to the high altitude areas and you are very likely to see these in Uttarakhand in the right season. This group 2 needs a lot of revision, and taxonomic status of many of these is unclear. In addition to the butterflies I've shown, there's lots of common butterflies, but for which have been recorded in Uttarakhand in recent years. For example, the ape fly. It was only known from Kumaon in Uttarakhand, and I've been seeing it in Dehradun in and around on a few occasions. So this actually is a published paper in 2016, which is the first record from Garhwal. I found the tree yellow in Nandor Wildlife Sanctuary. This is the westernmost record of this species in addition to the state fauna. Similarly, the common ciliate blue. So a lot of these butterflies I'm mentioning are quite common in central and eastern Himalayas. But all of these are the first records for the western Himalayas. Then the red spot, Arun Pratap Singh published first record of this from Uttarakhand in Garhwal. And then I recorded it in Kumaon in 2016. So there's lots of common species that are still being recorded, which are common in eastern and central Himalayas, but they are first records for Uttarakhand. It does seem that the range of these species is extending. Now, people have asked me this question, that is it that they are unrecorded or their ranges are extending? I don't really know. I know that there are a number of species from western Himalayas, such as the Indian tortoiseshell and the bath white, whose range has extended from western Himalayas to eastern Himalayas over the last 100 years. Whether a reverse migration is happening for a number of species, I don't think there's enough evidence yet. The common peacock is Uttarakhand state butterfly. If my information is correct, I think we were the second state after Maharashtra to declare a state butterfly in 2016. Numerous other states have followed in the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years. This is an interesting butterfly, not only because it's spectacular, but its larval host plant is something called Timru or Timur, Xanthozalem armatum, which is also a medicinal plant. And that is actually being harvested for medicines. And sometimes I fear that this butterfly may be under threat if over-harvestation of Timru happens in Uttarakhand. If you want to visit Uttarakhand for butterfly watching, where should you visit? Varied habitats. There's the low altitude, the Tarai Bhabar region, which is basically from the foothills all the way to the hill areas. Corbett, Rajaji, Nandor are examples of the Tarai Bhabar region, and some conservation reserves, Pavalgarh, Asan and Chilbil. Then there's the mid-altitude temperate belt, which has a lot of conifers as well as oak and rhododendron forest. Mussoorie, Binsar, these are all protected areas. All the hill stations and places like Devalsari, Munsiari, Bhimtal are good places to visit for these species. And then finally the higher altitudes, which is places like Govind National Park, Gangotri, Ascot, and so on and so forth. So this is basically the PA map. Uttarakhand has got 17 protected areas, which includes national tiger reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and conservation reserves. These are all good areas to visit because obviously they are protected. The only problem being that in the tiger reserves, especially Corbett and Radhaji, you cannot walk. So these are areas that's probably best avoided for butterfly watching because you aren't really permitted to go on foot. People ask me if I haven't been to Uttarakhand and I need to go butterfly watching, where should I visit? So I have 3 places to tell you which are number 1 on or the top 3 on my list. The first is Devalsari. The Devalsari, there's a local society here called Devalsari Paryavaran Sanrakshan. Their website, I mentioned their website here. This is at about 1800 meters. It's about 3 hours from Dehradun. They hold an annual Titli Utsav, butterfly festival, where we watch both butterflies and moths. And on each of the festivals, we have recorded in excess of 100 species in 3 days. So this is an excellent place for people to start if you haven't visited Uttarakhand before. The second is Pawalgarh, which is now 600 meters. Devalsari was at 1800 meters. So Pawalgarh is the second place. Again, there's a local society which conducts this Utsav. It's called Pawalgarh Prakriti Prahari. They have trained guides, very nice checklist for the Terai Bhabar region, and they conduct an annual festival as well. Unfortunately, this year these festivals didn't happen on account of COVID-19, but otherwise it's an annual feature, and they shift the dates around so that people can see butterflies of different season. And the third area is basically Munsiari. I don't know whether any people from Munsiari are on this call, but Himalayan Arc and Himal Prakriti is the local organization that organizes an annual butterfly and moth festival. Some of the species that I mentioned, including the walnut blue and the Poliomatus, are from this region and have been actually found by people from this society. So in all these areas that I mentioned, the good thing is that we have enough material. There are brochures of butterflies of Devalsari, Rispana, which is the Mussoorie area, Rajpur. There's Pawalgarh, Nandor, and this new one is from the Munsiari's butterfly of Gori Valley. It's in press. It's not yet published. Should be published in the next month or so. So lots of material exists. What are the other areas that you could visit? I'm going to basically run through these. I've just got some images for you all. This is the Govind Pashu Vihar, Govind National Park in the eastern part of Uttarakhand. This is the trek to Harkidun, which is inside Govind National Park. Great areas to watch butterflies in the right season. Again on the Harkidun trek. And this is right up the Swarga Rohini Peak at Harkidun. So these are all images of the Govind National Park. Then in central Uttarakhand, there's the Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary. This is Deoria Tal. I've seen the lesser brimstone here, and it remains the only sighting that I've got of that butterfly from Uttarakhand. In the right season, in the month of April, which is when I saw the brimstone, you have flowering rhododendron in this area, which is beautiful. This is all again the Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary area. All different parts of Kedarnath. Then there's the Gangotri National Park, where I mentioned I saw the brown bordered admiral, the hair streak, white line hair streak, and other species. This is the Govind National Park, and this is around Govind National Park, the Jinda Dharali area. And this is Nilang. This is an area that I have not yet visited. This is a reasonably easily accessible cold desert area of Uttarakhand, but the problem is that the army restricts access, even though it's part of Govind National Park. And then you have the Munsiari Ascot area, the Ascot Wildlife Sanctuary, and which is the higher altitude part. And then around Munsiari, you have this area, which is called the Mesar Kund, the Valley of Flowers. People tell me that my 6 individuals and 3 species was an aberration, and you do see butterflies. Actually, on the trek up to Valley of Flowers, you see lots of butterflies. So I recorded about 45 species on the trek up to Valley of Flowers. It's at the valley that I didn't see much. So it's still an area that is worth going to. And of course, the flowers in the area themselves are great. So these are all, this is the trail in the Hemkund, trail to Hemkund Sahib in the Valley of Flowers area itself. So I think with that, I am going to wrap up this session and keep it open for questions. But just a quick word about what we do. Basically, our NGO is called Titli Trust. We are a non-profit organization which works on nature conservation. Primarily work with local communities for ecotourism development. man-animal conflict and citizen science and conservation education. I act as editor for both the Butterflies of India websites and the Moths of India website. So we support citizen science through this. And if anyone wants to contact me, you can do so at the numbers mentioned here. And now if there are any questions from people, feel free to ask. Sharan.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So, thank you so much, sir, for accepting to do this and for giving a wonderful session on Butterflies of Uttarakhand. It was really good. And you can stop sharing now, and we'll open up the question session. People, if you have any questions, please send in your chat channel or please unmute yourself and ask so that Sanjay sir will be happy to answer you.
Okay, I can see somebody say we got so many on the trek, few in Valley of Flowers National Park. Yeah, I think that's what happened with me as well, which is on the route to the Valley of Flowers. I got lots of butterflies, but not so many up there, not in the valley. Actually, that's a question that needs to be asked and answered, which is if there are so many flowers, I did not see very many insects in the Valley of Flowers. So a question is, who are the pollinators? I mean, if there are not very many insects, I saw very few butterflies. I don't know about the moth activity there. I did not see many bees. I did not see many other insects. So it remains a mystery to me as to how pollination happens in the Valley of Flowers. Okay, questions. Can you please discuss about local migration of butterflies in here? So I think there's very little work that has been done on butterfly migration in the Himalayan region. What I can share is only anecdotal. So, the one butterfly species that probably everyone is aware of, which undertakes local migration, is the emigrants, Catopsolia pomona. That happens here. In fact, this year we've had almost 40 days of continuous local migration of the emigrant. But that's a butterfly that's found throughout India. In terms of other Himalayan species, what I can state from experience is that when it snows in Mussoorie, there are on occasions that we see butterflies in Dehradun and in Doon Valley, which are normally not seen here. So very clearly there is a local migration that takes place, which is when the weather gets cold, there are butterflies that actually descend from the colder regions to the valley for warmth. But I don't think there's been any systematic study. I hope that helps. What are the other questions?
So one more question. What are your observations on elevational range profile of butterflies?
What are my observations on elevational range profile of butterflies? So I think the fact remains that we know that butterflies most butterflies are specific to larval host plants. I mean, they can be monophagous or polyphagous. But I think when you talk of range profile or elevational range profile of butterflies, I think there's the Palearctic butterfly species, and the Palearctic butterfly species are basically only seen in the Palearctic region. The meadow blues, the rock browns, the meadow browns. You don't see them coming down at all. They basically are range restricted to high altitude regions. The Apollos, then the oriental species, and many of the oriental species are also found high up. So for example, the clouded yellows, the pale and dark clouded yellow actually come down to the plains, even though they can be found at 4,000 meters, because they are an oriental species rather than a Palearctic species. And the tortoise shells have a very large range. So I think the Palearctic butterflies do not come down at all. They restrict themselves to their larval host plants are only at the high altitudes. The oriental species are far more, have a much wider range, largely linked to availability of larval host plants. What else?
One more question. Can you please brief about the distribution of bathwaite in India as well as in Uttarakhand?
Okay. So actually there's a paper that we have published. This was published by a colleague, a young boy from Nagaland, Shetsholo Naro, and me, and we basically published this paper where we showed that in the early part of the 20th century, the 1900s, the bath white was basically restricted only to Western Himalayas. And over the last 50 or 60 or 70 years, first there were records from, I reported this from Pakke, a tiger reserve in Arunachal Pradesh. And then we reported this butterfly from Nagaland, and there have then been additional reports of the butterfly from Manipur. And very, very clearly the range of this butterfly has, the butterfly range has expanded from Western Himalayas to Eastern Himalayas linked to its larval host plant. The same thing has happened with the Indian tortoiseshell. The larval host plant for the Indian tortoiseshell is basically various species of stinging nettles, Utica as well as Debrigaceae, and these are commonly found throughout the Himalayas. So the Indian tortoiseshell was actually known only from Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, and then there were some records from Uttarakhand, and then slowly it has now gone all the way up to the hills of Northeast India. So I think these butterflies have clearly extended their range on account of larval host plant availability.
Participants, any more questions? Sir, I have one personal question, sir.
Yes.
What is the best time to visit Valley of Flowers, and also how many different species of butterflies have been recorded till date in that area?
So the best time, so it depends on what you're visiting for, right?
Yeah.
If you're visiting to see the Valley of Flowers and its flowers, the best time to visit is August and September. Okay. Maybe July, August and September. Okay. But July, August and September is not the best time for butterflies. Okay. So during the visit that I made, which was in August, mid-August, so if I remember correctly, I recorded about 45 species during the entire trek, en route, all the way up. But if you ask me that normally what is the best time to visit for high altitude butterfly species in Uttarakhand, the month is May and June. You have the highest number of sunny days, and most high altitude butterfly species are active in the months of May and June in Uttarakhand.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Which is your favorite butterfly from Uttarakhand? Which is the one that you're looking to photograph and you haven't got? Yeah, the one I would love to find is and I actually haven't even gone searching for it, is Lethe Dakhwania, which is the Garhwal wood brown, which is the type locality of that is maybe only 4 hours from Dehradun. But the fact is that it's a high altitude species, so I actually need to go there and look for it, and I haven't managed to do that yet. I should do that, yes. Shouldn't the butterflies be more active when the flowers are in bloom? I assume you're talking of the Valley of Flowers. So I mentioned that, right? That which is, I do not know what acts as, see, you need to remember that both for butterflies and moths, the activity for the butterflies and moths are not necessarily driven by availability of nectaring plants. The activity is driven by availability of larval host plants where they can lay their eggs. So for a butterfly, once it emerges, it mates, and the male and female mate, the butterfly lays its eggs, its purpose in its life is over. I mean, if it dies almost immediately after mating, it means nothing to the butterfly. Of course, it's in its natural history life cycle. When the longer the butterfly lives, the longer it helps pollinate other plants and flowers. So the butterfly's decision in terms of when it should emerge is not necessarily linked to availability of nectaring plants, but availability of larval host plants. And you should remember that the life cycle of the butterfly is such that it lays eggs, then the caterpillar emerges, then the cocoon is there, and then the butterfly emerges. So that whole cycle is about 6 weeks. So actually the butterfly times its egg laying such that the butterfly will emerge 6 weeks later, right? So you need to remember that as well. Are moths and butterflies and moths competitors of each other? What do you think? Who asked this question? Aryajit. But when do butterflies fly and when do moths fly? So most moths fly at night and most butterflies fly during the day. So very clearly they aren't competing for against each other, right? I mean, definitely not for nectaring plants. Maybe for larval host plants they may be competing, but not for nectaring plants. Yeah.
So one more question. In Uttarakhand, what do butterflies prefer, nectaring or puddling?
Mostly nectaring. You don't see much mud puddling in Uttarakhand. In fact, in Western Himalayas, you do not see the kind of mud puddling that you observed in either in the Eastern Himalayas, Northeast India, or in Western Ghats. I mean, there are just a few species. Some of the pierrids and some of the swallowtails that in the low altitude, in Corbett and Rajaji, they mud puddle. In the higher altitudes, you do not see any mud puddling. Hardly see any mud puddling. And at least not in large numbers. You may see individuals mud puddling, but not in large numbers. While doing high altitude surveys, expect certain new records. Do we need to collect specimens? Well, you don't need to collect specimens at all times. I mean, there are many species that you can recognize without specimens, but the cryptic species, so for example, the Poliomatis, the meadow blues, for example, the meadow browns, those